Good evening out there. How you guys doing? This Mike and Jay back with the Soberheadz podcast. Tonight we venture on into step 7. Humbly ask God to remove our shortcomings. Step 7. What's up, Jay? How you doing tonight, bro?
I'm doing great, man. Another night where we can get this message out there is real good. You know
All
what I mean?
praise to
Just
the Most High.
sitting back, relaxing. Ain't no real basketball on tonight, so the Knicks don't play. I got time. I got time.
My boy, the Knicks finally trying to break that curse, man.
Oh, yeah,
I hope y'all really do it, man. I really do, man.
Mhm.
I really hope y'all do it, man. All right, let's get at it on step 7. Humbly ask him to remove our shortcomings. Since this step so specifically concerns itself with humility, we should pause here to consider what humility is and what practice of it can mean to us. Indeed, the attainment of greater humility is the foundation principle of each AA 12 steps. For without some degree of humility, no alcoholic can stay sober at all. Nearly all AAs have found, too, that unless they develop much more of the precious quality that may be required just for sobriety, they still haven't much chance of becoming truly happy. Without it, they cannot live much useful purpose, or in adversity be able to summon the faith that can meet any emergency. What you think about that so far, bro, with the saying you got to have humility to stay sober?
I mean, I definitely, I know that's true. I mean, I should say we know that's true. You know what I mean? So, like, without humility, I mean, it's really hard to accomplish. You know what I'm saying? Like, first you got to accept it. I mean, you can't really beat yourself up. You got to learn how the difference between humility and actually beating yourself up. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that was the hardest part. You know what I mean? Like,
deep. That's deep. That's deep.
So,
yeah. With me, man, I definitely understand what they're saying, because it takes a lot of humility to be able to admit that I was an alcoholic. But it really came down to, they're going to get into it later, having to be humiliated to get me to the point to have humility, because I had pride out of the door, man. Like I was just full of pride. So I had to get to that point to be humiliated for me to be able to have some kind of humility and go to God. So that's how it gets deep, man. It gets real deep, man. Says humility as a word and as an idea has a very bad time in our world. Not only is the ideal misunderstood, the word itself is often intensely disliked. Many people haven't even a nodding acquaintance with humility as a way of life. Much of the everyday talk we hear and a great deal of what we read highlights man's pride in his own achievement. With great intelligence, men of science have forcing nature to disclose her secrets. The immense resource of now being harnessed promise such a quality of material blessings that many have come to believe that a man-made millennium lies just ahead. Poverty would disappear, and there would be such abundance that everybody can have all their security and personal satisfaction he desires. This theory seems to be that once everybody's primary instincts are satisfied, there won't be much left to quarrel about. The world will then turn happy and free from the concentrate in culture and character. Solely by their own intelligence and labor, men will have shaped their own destiny. Wow, man, that was definitely something that I thought of once I had figured out in my mind what I needed for a picture perfect life. And once I achieved that I wasn't going to have any worries. Like nothing was going to be there. You know what I'm saying? Like once I got the wife, I got the house, the car, the good paying job, the business, to be able to vacation, be able to do this, that life was going to be a peach. And it wasn't. You know what I'm saying? It was always something else coming up. It was always something else happening. Then I came to understand that God was going to allow it to be like that because he knew that he wanted me to always have to come back and rely on him. Then it talked about that it's hard to find humility in this world because man's pride in his own achievements. And we see that every day on social media. Like, that's why it's called selfies. Like me, I. It's rare you see people really post about other people in a positive way, or even it's hard to get people to even share other people's stuff, man, because it really did made us into a very selfish society. You know what I'm saying? And that's how
Yeah.
Satan wants it, man. Go ahead. What you got on that, bro?
Mhm. I mean, humility and recovery is deep. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a power shift. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm.
like you just said. You know what I mean? Like you talked about job security. You talked about marriage. You talked about finances. Uh, there's no such thing as a perfect job or a perfect marriage or enough money. You know what I'm saying? So
Yep, yep,
that's where
yep.
we struggle with. You know what I mean? So we had this
Mm.
false idea of what marriage was. We was married without a God in our marriage. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm.
this
Mm.
this is my second marriage. You know what I'm saying? Or my first
Mm-hmm.
marriage. Obviously, God wasn't in my marriage. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so the humility of that. You know what I mean? Just and then understanding like always learning from your mistakes. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm.
nobody want to say that they're wrong. You know what I'm saying? So then you go back to that pride part where like
Mm-hmm.
I always tell people like this. I mean, I told a brother the other day, I was like, yo, man, I just truly believe that nobody who wasn't drinking before or had a struggle with any kind of addiction can help me with my addiction. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm.
I just,
Mm.
that's totally how I feel about it. You know what I'm saying? I could be wrong, but like I said, where I was and how I got to where I am, I had to humble myself. I had to listen to people who actually went through the struggle, and
Mm-hmm.
then I had to use my own discernment. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm
Mm.
saying? Like, but the main thing is I had to be humble enough to actually admit to myself that I had a problem. So
Mm. Indeed, indeed, indeed. You want to pick up reading?
yeah, certainly no alcoholic and surely no member of AA wants to persecute material achievement, nor do we enter into debates with the many who still so passionately cling to that belief that to satisfy our basic natural desire is the main objective of life. But we
Mm.
are sure that no class of people in the world ever made a worse mess of trying to live by this formula than alcoholics. For
Mm.
thousands of years, we have been demanding more than our share of security, prestige, and romance. When we
Mm.
seem to be succeeding, we drink to dream still greater dreams. That's crazy.
Uh-huh. This doing deep.
When we are frustrated, even in part, we drink uh, for oblivion. Never was
Mm.
there enough of what we thought we wanted. And all
Mm.
these striving, and all this striving, so many of them, well, intention, our crippling handicap had been our lack of humility. We had
Mm.
lacked the perspective to see that character building and spiritual values had to come first, and that material
Mm.
satisfaction were not the purpose of living.
Mm.
Quite characteristically, we had gone all out in confusing the end with the means. Instead of regarding the satisfaction of our material desires as many by which we could live and function as human beings, we had taken this satisfaction to be the final end and aim of our life.
Woo! Woo!
I'm gonna just start where we drink to dream still greater dreams. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm.
it's like you woke up one day and you asked to be like the best teacher or the best basketball coach or have the best basketball program, and then you finally had it, and then it was like I'm drinking to celebrate it, and then I still want more. You know what I mean? Like
Yup. Yup.
that part
Yup.
right there is crazy because I used to
Yup.
always say like I never could drink enough. And
Mm-hmm.
if I was gambling, I could never win enough money. If I won $10,000, that wasn't good enough. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
If I if I
Mm-hmm.
if I made $10,000 in a week doing basketball, that still wasn't good enough. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I could definitely. It says never was there enough of what we thought we wanted. You know what I'm saying? So like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I I remember at one point, bro, I had so many people rocking JJ Hoop apparel. Like I was coaching two teams, and I had like about no exaggeration. I probably had like 15 teams. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I remember going. seriously, I remember going into a gym in Homedale full of white kids, white girls at that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they was excited to be playing for JJ Hoops, not realizing that I
Mm,
was JJ Hoops. You know what I mean? So
mm. That's dope, man. I remember that too, man. With me, man, this thing got so many layers, bro. It was just talking about our basic desires was the main objective of life. Like that's what, like that's all I wanted, man. You know what I'm saying? The security, prestige, and romance, having the money in the bank, the attention, power, and the women. Like that summed everything up right there. That's what I thought was the American dream, man. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah,
then
I remember.
even when I had all of it, I still was drinking. And then even when I got frustrated with it, I was still drinking even more.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Then it says, go ahead. What you was about to say?
I remember seeing you like sit on the sidelines at people joints, right? And just you would be doing the writing at that point, not realizing that you was really just evaluating the talent and still evaluating how these tournaments was run. You know what I'm saying?
Facts,
so it was
facts.
You know what I mean? So like as everything was moving around you, the person who you are was like, man, I could do this way better than that. You know what I'm saying? And I remember when I really saw you transition, you went from sitting down to walking around. You know what I'm saying? And then your walk became different. You know what I'm saying? Like you walked with that, you was from Trenton, but you ain't really walked with that Trenton walk. You know what I'm saying? Once basketball spotlight came up, man, shoot, you not only did you walk with the Trenton walk, but you brought Trenton with you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%.
And I think I said, as much as we did when we got successful and the people we brought with us, I think that hurt us more than it helped us. You know what I'm saying? Because we brought those, we got a party, we got a drink. You know what I'm saying? So
indeed. Yeah. I could understand that. It says in these strivings, so many well-intentioned, our crippling handicap was the lack of humility. We lacked the perspective to see that character building and spiritual values had to come first, and the material satisfaction was not the purpose of living. That was me. My whole moral code was flipped upside down, man.
Yeah.
And I still wanted to go hard at it. That's what was wrong with the whole thing, man. Not understanding that God had to be the leader of all this. And it said, instead of the satisfaction, our material desires as the means which we could live and function as human beings. We had to take satisfactions to the final end and aim of life. That's what I thought it was about. That's what I thought true success was. I didn't know that seek the kingdom first, and he'd give you all of this anyway. And you'll be using it for him. You get what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. But you at that time, you didn't know what you really wanted. You know what I mean? We only had the material dreams of what we were seeing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, at one point, think about it, bro. The Hoop Group was the biggest joint on the East Coast. And here it is, you becoming bigger than them. You know what I'm saying? Like,
in the middle school area. Yeah, in the middle school area.
And it happened real fast. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it was.
They had the high school on lock, and you had the middle school on lock.
Yeah, it was coming, man. Then it says, true, most of us thought good character was desirable, but obvious good character was something one needed to get on with the business of self-satisfied. With a proper display of honesty and morality, we stand a better chance of getting what we really wanted. But whenever we had to choose between character and comfort, character building was lost in the dust of our chase after what we thought was happiness. Seldom did we look at character building as something desirable in itself, something we would like to strive for, whether our instinctual needs were met or not. We never thought of making honest tolerance and true love of man and God the daily basis of our life. Wow, bro. That's because, like, just think about that. Like, I was chasing all of this and chasing all of this and chasing all of this, and I was so focused on it, never thinking about God and never thinking about surrendering to him, just to get to what I thought was the top, to look down and say, ain't nothing here. Still
It's
empty,
lonely
still
all the
got a
time.
hole in my soul. Still, you get what I'm saying? Still got a
Oh
hole in
yeah.
my soul. Still empty. It
Mhm.
ain't nothing there. Still like, what else? What else can I put in here? What else can I put in here? And God, like, nah, it's me, bro. It ain't got nothing to do with what you chasing. I'm the
Yeah.
remedy of this. You need
Hmm.
to come see me. And I never, and he had to break me in order for me to get to that point, man. Like that's the whole thing about it. It says, uh, but whenever we had to choose between character and comfort, the character building was lost in the dust. Like
Yeah.
I'm not trying to go through none of that pain that could build character. I'm gonna escape
Hmm.
with women, money, alcohol, sex, trips, parties. I'm not gonna sit there and go through the necessary thing for me to be able to build character because pain builds
Yeah.
character. But I didn't want to feel the pain, so I went for the other stuff to try to escape. You get what I'm saying? What you
Yeah.
got on that part, bro?
I mean, I like the part where it said, with a proper display of honesty and morality,
Mm,
we
mm,
stand a better chance. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think we had a lot of bad examples growing up as black men in our community. You know what I'm saying? So the
mm,
pictures that was painted of what success looked like wasn't necessarily uh, honest, or they didn't come with no morality. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I
you
went to
hitting us
church
right
and
now, bro.
I looked at the pastor was preaching, but then I would see the preacher on Saturdays. I might run at him, see him in a gambling spot. You know what I'm saying? I might
Mm,
see him running a bus ride to Atlantic City. You know what I mean? I might
mm,
see a pastor who had two or three, side chicks and a wife. You know what I'm saying? So like
mm.
those pictures or those examples that we strive for, those are our examples of success. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Talk about it,
you know,
bro.
the dude that
Talk.
had the best car in the neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm,
and then what really summed it up, it said, where was it? It was the last one you read about the true love of man and God on a daily basis. Where it says, we never thought of making honesty, tolerance, and true love of man and God the daily basis of our lives. You know what I'm saying? I think so many
mm-hmm,
times we brought up in that environment of competition. You know what I mean? Like, oh
mm.
man, you know, I remember when you first started doing the basketball company, and we was in a barbershop and we talked about doing it together, and I was like, nah, I ain't messing with that Joker, man. He got his thing, I got my thing. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh,
And then
uh-huh.
not realizing like I'm actually separating myself because I'm in a hood, which I started in the hood, and now I'm
Uh-huh.
in Middletown coaching 15 white kids. You know what I'm saying? So now,
Mhm, mhm,
in a sense, I made it. You know what I'm saying? Now I'm successful in my mind because now everybody's looking at me, trying to get me to, pay me to, train and coach their kids off the strength
mm,
of me leaving the hood and taking these white kids to a new level. You know what I'm saying?
mm,
And
mm,
it wasn't until I honestly, gave my life to God that I could say, like, at that point, what I thought was success was nowhere near success. You know what I mean? And when I
mhm,
see it around me, like even now, I struggle with it because when I see people in the AAU game, I even put that up today. I mean, like, if you got a kid that should be playing up, he should be playing up. You know what I'm saying? And that's
mhm,
the competition. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, for me, that's how I approach staying sober, man. You know what I mean? If I see
mm,
somebody struggling, I'm gonna be honest with you. You know what I'm saying? Like
mm.
you honest. You know what I mean? Like I used to say, man. Like I used to tell. I told my cousin one time, look, man, don't waste my man Mike time, man. Because sobriety is painful, like you just said.
Yeah,
All the stuff you went
100%.
through, man. Like the
100%. It's no
sleepless
joke.
nights, being in the basement. So
It ain't no joke. It ain't no joke. The lack of anchorage to any person permanent values, this blindness to true purpose of our lives produced another bad result. For just as long as we convinced that we could live exclusively by our own individual strength and intelligence, for just that long was a working faith in higher power impossible. This was true even when we believed God existed. Whew. We could actually have earnest religious beliefs which remain barren because we were trying to play God ourselves. Whoa.
Wow.
As long as we place self-reliance first, a genuine relationship upon a higher power was out of the question. The basic ingredient of all humility, a desire to seek and do God's will, was missing. A lot to unpack right there, bro.
I mean, but it's the truth.
It was definitely real, man. Even when I knew God existed, I still was trying to be him. I still wanted to control everything. I still wanted to manipulate stuff. I still wanted to have the get the attention, and I was never giving him the praise, and I was never satisfied with what he did. At one time, I did have the hottest thing in the country, and I still wasn't satisfied. I still wanted more. I still wanted the more praise. I still wanted, and I was so selfish and self-centered, man. You know what I mean? Self-centered. Like, so I just and I tricked myself to believe that he allowed me to have this because I was this person and that person. Nah, man. I was very selfish and self-centered, and only by the grace of him that I'm still here now, man. And that's why I said, as long as we had self-reliance first, a general reliance on God was out of the question, because I thought that I could survive with my individual strength and intelligence. Like, I'm smarter, I'm more intelligent, I'm chasing the bag. I got the grind, because that was the hip hop we was raised in. That era, getting the bag and you hustling and this and that. You know what I mean? You got something on that joint?
Oh yeah, I mean, it goes back to, like you said, with the era that we was raised in. You know what I mean? Like, the sad part is we all was raised in some way, shape, or form in a church. You know what I'm saying? We all learned the commandments at an early age, right? And we still broke every last single commandment at an early age, right? And being that there was no punishment, you know, physical or mental at that time, we thought that, hey, we can do, like you always say, as Christians, sometimes we just feel like we can mess up and then just pray to God and he forgives us. And then it's like, okay, well, if I keep doing that and ain't no consequences, then I think I'm bigger than God. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I asked God to give me this, you know what I mean? I asked God to give me this basketball ability. And then once I get it, I stopped going to church. I stopped asking God to do this. I only call on God when I'm in tight situations. You know what I'm saying? And then every time I pray, God brings me out of those situations. And then I go right back to doing what I was doing because I think I'm bigger than God right now. You know what I'm saying? So, like,
talk about it, bro.
It's what I say. The last sentence was that basic ingredients of all humility is a desire to seek and do God's will was missing. So, like, I wasn't doing God's will. I was doing JJ's will. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't trying to bring people to God. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I remember when I first started coaching in Long Branch, you know, I would bring people to church, you know, because now I'm sober. You know what I'm saying? Now I know what God looks like and feels like. And I know that, you know, in order for you to navigate in this world, you have to be under the power or protection of the Holy Spirit. So now it's like, it ain't even about basketball no more. You know what I'm saying? So now I'm God's will. So that's what I got for that, man.
My last paragraph, it says, for us, the process of gaining a new perspective was unbelievably painful. It was only by repeated humiliations that we were forced to learn something about humility. It was only at the end of a long road marked by successful defeats and humiliations and the final crushing of our self-sufficiency that we begin to feel humility as something more than a condition of growth and despair. Every newcomer AA is told and soon realizes for himself that his humble admission of powerlessness and over alcohol is the first step towards liberation and paralyzing grip. I had to be broken, bro. I had to be embarrassed. I had to be ashamed, bro. And I went through many humiliations, man. But it took me to have to do that to get broken, man. I remember being in rehab, bro, and going to the grocery store and they and not having no money because they take your wallet and all of that stuff. And these young white kids had to walk me around the grocery store, bro. They was in their 20s. I'm 40-something years old, and people staring at me. like either he in jail or he crazy. Why they walking him around the grocery store? You know what I mean? Like now and then I get in the front and they got to pull out a card to pay for my food, man. The people looking at me like, yo, what's wrong with him? And I can laugh about it now, but I was humiliated, man. You know what I'm saying? But it take all of that. Having to tell people that I had to go to rehab the second time was so humiliating, bro. I cried when I got off that plane, man, because I was so embarrassed. I was ashamed of myself, man. It was so humiliating, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like one humiliating thing I remember too. Like, I remember being a teacher at the teaching special ed, and we used to have IEP sessions, and I used to be across the table. And it'd be the parent and the child on the other side with the social worker used to be sitting over there with me or whatever. So we got to explain to the mom and the parent what's going on with the kid. You know what I mean? But when my ex-wife and my mom came to visit me, now I'm on the other side of that table, and the counselor explaining to them what's wrong with me. You know what I'm saying? And I was so humbling, bro. I just cried, bro. Like I was so embarrassed. Like I was so like how did I get here? You know what I'm saying? And I didn't understand it at the time that God was humbling me, man. But I didn't understand it at the time. But He was humbling me. But I remember that feeling, bro. That feeling just hit my gut, bro. It was and promise this is the last one. One of the most humiliating joints was sitting in rehab. This the second time, and we had you had to write a letter. No, the person that you affected, impact letter had to come from your wife or somebody in your family, and they sent it to the rehab to let you know how your addiction affected them. So we sit in a small group, and it's like 6 of us in there. I'm thinking that the impact letter, the lady my counselor gonna get it. She gonna call me in her office, and me and her gonna sit there, and we gonna go over the letter. Bro, everybody sitting in there, she hits print.
Yeah.
She prints the letter out and just start reading in front of all these people, bro. And I was just saying, like, I haven't even read the letter yet. I don't know what this letter gonna say. Yo, and my ex was going in, and I'm sitting there hearing this for the first time, but all these other people hearing it too.
Yeah,
that broke me. You talking about an impact letter? That broke me, bro. That broke me. What you got on that, bro? What you got on the humiliation part?
Well, bro, I'm gonna just ask you to read the first. Can you read the first 2 sentences? I'm gonna be real quick on mine.
Well, on it says, for us, the process of gaining a new perspective was unbelievably painful. It was only by repeated humiliations were we forced to learn about humility. It was
mine was real short.
But,
So everything you just said, right? You know, the pain that you went through, you know what I mean? Being in a recovery center like I did, you know what I'm saying? And then to repeat humility, you know what I'm saying? Like every time you thought you was taking a step forward against humility, here comes something else to humbilize you. You know what I'm saying? You know, like, and that's it. Even still to this day, you know, like I said, being 12 years sober, we still deal with humility every day. You know what I mean? Like every time we come on this podcast and we tell these stories, I mean, there's no better example of being humble. You know what I mean? Like I say, the more that you keep it in, the more it eats at you, because those are some of the amends that, although we made amends in, you know, one of the steps, we still have to make amends every single day because we continue to try to get stronger. And then, like I said, when we're doing it and we're doing it through a higher power, there's nothing but the Holy Spirit that's going to tell you to talk about what you're talking about right now. You know what I'm saying?
All facts.
Most people don't understand it. So it's like, sometimes it's not even about me and you. You know, it's about, you know, our sobriety is to save somebody else's life. You know what I mean? So realistically, in this hour or hour and a half, sometimes that we on here, you know, we become social media sponsors. You know what I'm saying? You know, we sit there and we go through each step. And this ain't our first time going through the steps. So we use that word again. We're repeating the steps. Now we give it to you every shape and form. We give it to you from your point of view and your religion, and then I give it to you from my point of view and my religion. But the one thing and the thing that keeps repeating itself is without God, you can't be sober. You know what I mean? And you're gonna it's painful. You know what I mean? It ain't easy.
At all.
Easy to come
at all.
Stuff,
go ahead. Your turn. Pick up reading.
Okay. So it is that we first see humility as a necessity, but this is the barest beginning. To get completely away from our aversions to the ideas of being humble, to gain a vision of humility as the avenue to true freedom of the human spirit, to be willing to work for humility as something to be desired for itself, takes most of us a long, long time. A whole lifetime geared to self-centeredness cannot be set and reversed all at once. Rebellion's dogs are every step at first. When we have finally admitted without reservation that we are powerless over alcohol, we are apt to breathe a great sigh of relief, saying, well, thank God that it's over. I'll never have to go through that again. Then we learn often to our conservation that, what's that word?
Consternation.
That this is only the first milestone on the new road we are walking. Still goaded by sheer necessity, we reluctantly come to grips with those serious character flaws that made problem drinkers of us in the first place. Flaws which must be dealt with to prevent a retreat into alcoholism once again. We will want to be rid of some of these defects, but in some instances, this will appear to be an impossible job from which we record. And we cling with a passionate persistence to others, which are just as disturbing to our equilibrium because we still enjoy them too much. How can we possibly summon the resolution and willingness to get rid of such overwhelming compulsion and desire?
What you got for that?
I mean, the clinging on to others is something I'm dealing with like now. You know what I'm saying? Because you know, when we go through the recovery process and God removes people out of our lives, sometimes we still try to hold on to those people. You know what I'm saying? Like not realizing those people were part of the triggers that, you know, caused us to, you know, be in situations that we were in. And yet we prayed and asked God, you know, to remove all our shortcomings, not realizing that some of these people were a part of our shortcomings. You know what I'm saying? So that part about holding on, you know what I mean? Like that's something that I'm praying on, that God, you know, definitely allows me to just, when people, I mean, we always joke, like me and my wife, when we say, when people show you who they are, believe them. You know what I'm saying?
Better.
And my wife could let that person go just like that. But me, it's like, oh, I'm gonna pray for them. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna try this and try that. And now I'm to the point now where like, hey man, I only want people that's gonna be holding me accountable, that's uplifting, and that's, you know, like-minded like myself. You know what I'm saying? And ain't too many people like that. You know what I'm saying? So like to realize that God will remove these people, and your circle will become shorter, but it will become stronger, because then you won't be surrounded by the BS that's going on in the world, man.
I know, man, and you don't want to be into that. I look at the part where it says that thank God that it's over. I never have to go through that again. Then you realize that the drinking wasn't not even a problem. It was the way you think.
No.
And now I had to get to the core of why I think the way I think, why I think it's all about me. Why did I get Mr. Conceited when I was in 7th grade? Why, like, all of this stuff starts to come out now? Like, what's wrong with you? Why you think Why you got to make it all about you? Why you got to be arrogant and obnoxious? And why you got to do this and do that?
Yeah.
It's because of fear.
Yeah.
Fear. I'm gonna get you before you get me because I don't want you to really know who I really am. So I'm gonna project this other thing. I'm gonna crack jokes on you. I'm gonna do this and do that because I don't want you to really know who I
Mhm.
really am. You know what I'm saying? And that's
True.
where it comes down to grips with. So it says, but again, we are driven on an escapable conclusion, which we draw from AA experience that we surely must try to with our will or else fall by the wayside. At this stage of our progress, we are under heavy pressure and coercion to do the right thing. We are obliged to choose between the pains of trying and the certain penalties of failing to do so. These initial steps along the road are taken grudgingly, yet we do take them. We may still have no very high opinion of humility as a desired personal virtue, but we do recognize it is necessary for our aid in recovery. But when we have taken a square look at some of these defects, have discussed them with another, and have become willing to remove them, our thinking about humility commences to have a higher meaning. That's steps 4, 5, and 6, baby. By
Oh
this
yeah.
time, in all probability, we have gained some measure of release from our more devastating handicaps. We enjoy moments in which we are something like real peace of mind. Talk about it. To those of that are perdito, no only excitement, depression, and anxiety. In other words, all of us, this newfound peace is a priceless gift. Something new indeed has been added. Where humility has formerly stood for force feeding on humble pie, it now begins to mean the nourishment ingredient which we can have serenity. Man, they is not
Mm.
lying. When I'm resting in that humble feeling and I'm serving God and I'm doing that, it's no better
Mhm.
feeling in the world, bro. And you feel his
Yeah.
protection. You feel his protection around you when he guiding you. It's like you floating. You know what I'm saying?
Oh
And
yeah.
you going out doing that work, man, and you see it, and you like, look how he using me to do this, he using me to do that, and it's a feeling that you understand it because you in that realm. You know what I'm saying? What you got for
Mhm.
that, bro?
I mean, to me, that that whole paragraph to me is like the serenity prayer. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
You know, it's like God, you know,
Uh-huh.
God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
we
Mm-hmm.
can't change the fact that we was alcoholics. We can't change the fact that we may have been womanizers and didn't do things accordingly to how life should be at the time. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
then we had to have the courage to change the things we could. You know what I'm saying? And the
Mm-hmm.
things we could is for me was how we responded from what we did in the past. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
You know what I
Mm.
mean? Like, and then the
Mm.
most important line is the wisdom to know the difference. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm. Mm.
in the past, when we did something, we looked at for other people's approval. You know what I'm saying? Like, or we
Mm-hmm.
needed that self gratification of like, oh, I did it. You know what I'm saying? And the
Mm-hmm.
wisdom to know the difference to me is knowing that if it's not God or if it's not for God, then I'm not doing the right thing. You know what I'm saying? So like that's
Mm.
where it is. So
Mm.
if God puts it in my spirit to say, hey, I gotta walk away from this, then I'm walking away from it. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm. Talk about it, bro. It says the improved perception of humility starts with another revolutionary change in our outlook. Our eyes begin to open to the immense values we have come straight out of painful ego puncturing. Until now, our lives have been largely devoted to running from pain and problems. We fled from them as from a plague. We never wanted to deal with the fact of suffering. Escape via the bottle was always our solution. Character building through suffering might be all for saints, but it certainly didn't appeal to us. That's 1,000% true, bro. I didn't
oh
want
yeah,
to go through nothing, bro. I didn't want to feel nothing. I didn't want to deal with nothing.
yeah,
I just wanted to drink. How when Q-Tip and Mobb Deep had that song "Drink Away the Pain," like
yeah,
I just wanted to pull out the alcohol and get drunk, man. I wanted to escape. I was so fearful of dealing with problems and issues and having to eternalize them and having to sit there and just sit in the suffer, not understanding that's how the character is being built. That's how we
yeah.
getting better. That's how we doing. That's how I'm growing as a person, man. I didn't
Mhm.
want to deal with that. So that escape via the bottle was like always my go-to, man. What you got on that?
I heard somebody say a long time ago, push, and they said that means pray until something happens. You know what I'm saying? I'm like,
Mm.
sometimes we pray for stuff, right? And we
Mm-hmm.
want it to be done on our terms, on our time. You know what I'm saying? So, like,
Mm-hmm.
that right there, and the escape of not getting answered prayers, we try to speed up the process ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I asked God to get me, $5,000. You know what I'm saying? So what you gonna do? I'm gonna start training more kids, blah blah blah. That was the old me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had
Mm.
a situation right now where I was like, hey man, I don't know how I'm gonna get this bread to finish up school. You know what I'm saying? And what you said, God gonna provide. My wife was like, yo, did you pray? Like she always asks me that. You know what I mean? I prayed about it. You know what I mean? Next thing you know, I got a phone call like, hey man, it ain't gonna cost you 8,000, it's gonna cost you 1,000. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, oh
Yo,
man,
that's what I'm talking
yeah.
about.
I was like, look at God. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
because you
you know,
obedient. You obedient,
that's
brother.
it. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah,
here it
you
is. I'm
obedient.
like, I'm thinking about, oh man, I'm gonna have to take out another loan and blah blah blah. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, nah, man, And then you start questioning yourself about, oh man, I had it. I should have just paid it when I had it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But God told me to do something else, and it was like you said, when you stay obedient to Him, you know, He will bless you. But the
Mm-hmm.
blessings that we look forward now don't come into the material sense of things, but it actually comes into the joy of, like you said, waking up knowing that every day you can make a difference in somebody's life. You know what I'm saying? So like,
All facts. All
time on my
facts.
hand tonight, I hit you up. I said, bro, we need to be on this podcast tonight. You know what I'm saying? So
Indeed. All right, take
that's what
over
I got
at
for
the
that.
bottom of 74.
Now we at the top, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Your book probably different from the one I'm reading, but it should be then at AA.
Yeah. That
Go ahead.
says, then in AA, we looked and listened. Everywhere we saw failure and misery transformed by humility into priceless assets.
Mm.
We heard stories after stories of how humility had brought strength out of weakness. In every
Mm.
case, pain had been the price of admission into a new life.
Whew.
Pain. You had to go through the pain to get that new life. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
this admission price had purchased more than we expected. It brought a measure of humility, which we soon discovered to be a healer of pain. We began to fear pain less and desire humility more than ever. During
Mm-hmm.
this process of learning more about humility, the most profound results of all was the change in our attitude towards God.
Mm.
And this was true whether we had been believers or unbelievers. We began to get over the idea that the higher power was sort of bush league pinch hitters to be called up upon only in an emergency. I just talked about
Mm. Mm-hmm.
that. The notion that we will still live our own lives, God helping a little now and then, begin to evaporate.
Mm-hmm.
Many of us who had thought ourselves religious awake to the limitations of this attitude, refusing to place God first. We had deprived ourselves of his help. But now the word of, oh, myself, I am nothing. The Father does the work, begin to carry bright promises and meaning. Excuse me, bright promise and meaning. We
Mm.
saw, we saw, we needed a way be bludgeoned and beaten into humility. It could come quiet as much from our voluntary reaching for it as it could from the unremittent suffering. A
Mm-hmm.
great turning point in our lives came when we saw our humility as something we really wanted, rather than as something we must have. It
Mm.
marked the time. It marked the time when we could commence to see the full implications of step 7. Humbly ask God to remove our shortcomings.
Man, sheesh. Man, talking
It was
about
deep, man.
our attitude towards God changed, and
Yeah.
I ain't look at him as a pinch hitter. Like he
Mm-hmm.
took, like Like he was the whole team. Like
Yeah.
he was the coach. He was the star player. I'm just on
Yeah.
assignment. What you want me to
That's
do,
it.
coach? Put me in the game. Where you need me at,
Yeah.
coach? Having to die to who I was. That's what the whole process is about, man. You know what I mean?
Oh
Price
yeah.
that had been purchased more than expected. It brought the
Mm-hmm.
measure of humility. We begin to discover that we had to go through the pain. That was the price of it, man.
Yeah.
I had to go through all of that to get to this point. Of course, if I knew all of that, I would have asked for plan B. But
Oh yeah.
nah, that's why he don't tell us. That's why we got to go through it. So we could get all of the information that we're gonna need to help that next person. So I needed every year that I suffered. I needed every drink
Mm-hmm.
that I took. I needed every night I was scared. I needed like all of that stuff, all of the nightmares, everything. I needed all of that to be able to help the people that I'm helping now. And that's why he still had me here, because I thought I was gonna go crazy at times. You know what I'm saying? And
Oh, yeah.
whew, yeah, he broke it down. What you got for that, bro?
All right. So we on the Soberhead podcast, right? What's the
Mm-hmm.
other podcast that you got?
Pain for purpose.
That's what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Everything you just said, you went through all that pain. You know what I'm saying? Not
Mm-hmm.
understanding at the end of the
Mm-hmm.
road that, you know, it was for a purpose. You know what I mean? God was putting
Facts.
you in a position where you would start leaning on your own understanding and lean on His.
Woo!
You know what
Woo! You on
I'm
it
saying?
tonight, huh? You on it
It's
tonight?
funny, man, because
You on
my
fire
wife,
tonight, huh?
so my wife would always ask me like, uh, how do you know when you hear the voice of God? You know what I'm saying? Like, you
Mm.
know, because we joke, you know what I'm saying? Because we always have this joke, like we do God will. We're definitely givers, you know what I'm saying? And sometimes when God tells us to give to certain people, you know, my wife would joke would be like, the Holy Spirit is like you're lying, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
but it's always difficult when you listen into the Holy Spirit. But the only way that you can
Mm.
discern who you're listening to is when you
Mm-hmm.
go back to what it says in the last sentence. Humbly ask Him to remove our shortcomings. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm.
once you make amends with people, once you pray, you know what I'm saying, and it becomes a habit versus going to God in an emergency. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, as for I'll never forget. I just had one of my boys here for my party, and he came in and he said, what that sign up there mean?" It says, "In the morning when I rise, uh, babe, what that sign says in the morning rise, I give me Jesus, give me Jesus." You know what I'm saying? I can't see that far. You know what I'm saying? But then we have like these prayer cards and spiritual cards all around the house. You know what I'm saying? It
Mm.
may be uncomfortable for somebody else, but in our house, you know, we don't fake it. You know what I'm saying? Like this is how
Mm.
we live every single day, whether you Christian or you not Christian. You know what I'm saying? You come in my
Mm.
crib, you're gonna hear about God, you're gonna hear gospel music, you know what I'm saying? But you know, some people are ashamed of that. You know what I'm saying? So, you know,
Mm.
that's what I got for that.
All right, says as we
Allergies
approach
killing me in the South.
we almost done. As we approach the actual taking of step 7, it is it might be well if we AA inquire once more just about our deeper objectives are. Each of us like to live at peace with himself and with his fellows. He would like to be assured that the grace of God can do for us what we cannot do for ourselves. We have seen that character defects based on short-sighted and unworthy desires are the obstacles that block us, that block our path towards these objectives. We now clearly see that we have been making unreasonable demands upon ourselves, upon others, and upon God. Sheesh.
Mm,
The chief activator of our defects have been self-centered fear, primarily fear that we will lose something we already possess or will fail to get something we demanded. Living
mm,
upon a basis of unsatisfied demands, we were in a state of continual disturbance and frustration. Therefore, no peace
mm,
was to be had unless we could find a means of reducing these demands. The difference between a demand and a simple request is plain to anyone. God, bro, he said the chief activator of our defects was self-centered fear. that we would lose something we already possessed or would fail to get something we demanded. Man, if that ain't real, what is? What is, bro? That fear drive you to like to do whatever, man, just to try to feel secure for a moment. And it wasn't there, man. Living upon basis of unsatisfied demands, we were in a state of continued disturbance and frustration because we could never conquer what we wanted to have. No matter how much money, no matter how much attention, it was never enough. This deep, bro. The 7th step is where we make the change in our attitude, which permits us with humility as our guide to move out from ourselves towards others and towards God. The whole emphasis of step 7 is on humility. It is really saying that to us that we not ought to be willing to try humility and seeking the removal of our other shortcomings, just as we did when admitted that we were powerless over alcohol and came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. It is the degree of humility could enable us to find the grace by which such a deadly obsession could be banished. Then there must be hope of the same result respecting any other problem we could possibly have. Wow, bro. What you got for that, man? That self-centered part was deep, man.
Well, yeah. I mean, the self-centeredness for me is I had to change my thinking. You know what I mean? I had to change my thinking. I had to change my desires. You know what I'm saying? When I changed my thinking, I started craving less. You know what I'm saying? You know, because before we always had a reason why we was drinking. You know what I'm saying? Like it just became a mindset. You know what I'm saying? So once I changed my mindset, then my obsessions started to lift. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't thinking about, you know, reasons to drink. You know what I'm saying? And then I had to surround myself with the right people. That's the key part right there. You know what I'm saying? So like when they used to go to meetings and they used to say, people, places, and things. You know what I'm saying? Then I understood that real quick. You know what I'm saying? And then the ability to be honest. You know what I'm saying? Like I think that's definitely telling the truth about my past and you know accepting all my character defaults and then you know asking God, you know, to remove them. You know what I mean? The struggle for me really was like in step 4 and step 5. You know what I'm saying?
I bet. You know, that's when it got real.
You know, the ego of being JJ Hoops, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, all those different personalities that I may have, you know what I'm saying? You know, and now where I'm at, it's just like I got that freedom from shame, you know what I mean? Like, I accept my past for what it is, you know what I'm saying? And instead of being stuck in the guilt or, you know, just feeling like, you know, oh man, I did this, I did that. Once I made amends, and then, like I said, you know, being baptized and knowing what that means, you know, I thank God for his grace. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I think step 7 for me was more about grace than anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, because without grace, man, whew, you know, that's something like I always heard somebody say, like, well, God brought you from rock bottom. You know what I'm saying? And he forgave you, you know what I'm saying? So who are you not to forgive the people who've done you wrong in your life? You know what I'm saying? Or who are you not to, you know, be bigger than forgiveness? You know what I'm saying? I feel like when a person makes amends and it comes from a place of, you know, true understanding and, you know, real, genuine attitude, then it's easier for you to just go ahead and get on with your life. You know what I'm saying? And like I tell you all the time, you only got to say sorry or make amends one time. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't going to keep saying I'm sorry. And like, you know what I mean? So I just pray for you and I love you from a distance, man.
Indeed, man. So, wow, we over halfway there with step 7. Next one is we start getting that list together for the amends, brother. So we're going to touch on that next week, man. When your Knicks play again? Tomorrow,
man.
That's why you wanted to get that done today.
I mean, like sometimes, like To be honest, we could knock out. We might be able to knock out step 8 tomorrow, man.
Oh, okay,
You know what I'm
okay.
saying?
We can do 2 in the
Yeah.
week. If you
Yeah.
available, we can do 2 in the week. I ain't got no problem with it.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because, like you said, like
Right.
this our second book that we done did. You know what I'm saying? Like first group. You know what I mean? Like, and then like you said, it's even to be disciplined in this. You know what I mean? Whether it takes us, 6 weeks, 6 months. You know what I mean? I just respect the commitment that we make to getting out. To make this message clear. You know
to get it
I only
done.
got one bone to pick with you before I get off this podcast.
What up?
Can I get my invite to the prayer group, bro? To the Bible study?
I'm gonna talk to you about that when we get off. I'm gonna talk to you about that when we get off. I'm gonna talk to you.
Man.
I'm gonna call you.
All right,
all right. Father, thank you for allowing us to come on here tonight. If it's your will, have this message touch somebody out there to bring them closer to you and closer to sobriety. All these blessings we ask in your son Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Hold on. Let me end the stream.